You might be asking, why does this fool have locust in their garden area? Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead, and I want to show you something very interesting. We've got nitrogen-fixing plants in the form of clover, in the form of hairy vetch. We've got intermixed in it different types of greens, edible greens. Now, it's getting a little late in the season. It is now June. A little late in the season, but look at that. That's potato right there. That's potato right there. And if you're wandering through here, you're going to see some beds, and you're going to see some corn, and then there's honeysuckle. Now, well, that's underneath everything. This is honey locust. So it's a little muddy because we just had a big rain. But I want to show to you, this is this type of plant, the honey locust, and different kinds of locust plants. I'll just walk over here anyway. It's not too muddy. This kind of plant here is notorious BIG. If you keep cutting it off, it'll keep growing. So what are we going to do? How do we manage this plant? Now you can see it's coming up in the field over here. Eventually, we don't want to have honey locust in the garden. We'd rather have it along the edges of the woods. You can see back there, edge of the woods, because it can grow very straight and upright, and it makes a very hard wood that you can use for fence posts. But it's growing in the garden. Well, we didn't plant it there, and it decided it wanted to stay there, and every time it got tilled or mowed, it made more. So what is the secret to honey locust and actually making it work for you rather than you work for it? So first off, it is a type of plant that you can coppice or cut, and it will come right back. So I can take this plant, and when it gets to a certain size, I can go in here and I can cut off all the side branches. So it's not really going to be in the way. You can see it has thorns all over it. I can cut off all the side branches. I can feed those to goats or to animals. They'll love the leaves. The leaves are very nutritious. I can chop it up and use it as compost. Now there's a challenge chopping it up and throwing it back on the beds, because every branch I cut off, if stuck in the soil, will create a new plant. So the plant will tolerate being cut off, but everything you cut off that's slightly woody, like any of this stuff is slightly woody, will actually root. Doesn't need any rooting hormones, it'll just root. So what we can do is we can propagate the plant while cultivating this small batch here. So you can even see one in the path that I'm gonna have to get a pickaxe to dig out. So we can cultivate these here. As we cut off the branches, we either feed them to animals, throw them in with the chickens, and really get that branch destroyed before it goes into a compost pile. Or we can also, when we cut off the outer limbs, we can actually just put them all in a bucket and get them rooted, and then go put them in soil someplace else. You put them in a nursery pot and go create more plants where we want them. Now you might be saying, why don't we just cut it down? Well, if I keep cutting off the side shoots and I stake the plant upright, if I stake it upright, what's going to happen is we're going to get a vertical post in the ground right here that we can start cutting the top off. So if I cut everything off at the ground, it's going to put up new shoots out of the roots. But if I cut everything but one main runner from around the base, this is a little wet. I can show you down there. There's probably, we're going to see one that's kind of a preference, but the biggest preference, we cut everything but the biggest one, and then we cut off all the side shoots. The plant will panic a little bit, but it's not going to panic to shoot up new plants. It'll actually panic to shoot up more in the same main shoot. So look at this, for example. So this one got mowed over a couple times, and this is the main shoot that was there, and the main shoot has no green on it. It was busted down to nothing. Now these other shoots come out. So the plant's saying, I can't produce leaves. And because I can't produce leaves, I know my roots have stored energy. I'm going to make the roots put out new little plants. And those new little plants are then going to make woody sticks. So what you want to do is you can only take out, we're not going to keep this one in the path. I'm actually going to have to get a pickaxe and probably dig down 2-3 feet to get this thing out of here. But what you want to do is cut all but one for plants you'd like to keep. So these plants that are out here, they're not really in the way. They're kind of at the end of a row. I'm gonna start bundling them together to try to get them to grow up a little straight. And then I will, from that, choose one shoot. So when they're about this big, I'll choose one shoot. So look at this one. All these little runners around the outside down the bottom here, I'll cut those off. I'll cut this one off, I'll leave that one shoot. What will happen is the plant's got green leaves on the top. So the plant's able to do its photosynthesis and be able to process. And so it'll actually reduce some of the root growth. It doesn't need as much root. So the plant can still survive. We haven't triggered any survival instinct. It doesn't really have a survival instinct. It's kind of a ratio between the amount of green and the amount of root. But it's not going to try real hard with the roots because it's able to grow, and it will tend to put on more woody stalk. When that plant gets a woody stalk that's probably as high as a rake or slightly above your head, then we're going to cut the crown off. Now, cutting the crown off, it could go and send out shoots. But it's not likely because we haven't destroyed a lot of the tree. So we'll cut the crown off except for a couple little pieces. And if you do that in the right time of the year, it will actually put out a big green top. So we wait till all the leaves have fallen off. We cut the crown out. And then the next season in spring, boom, that thing's going to get a thicker branch. And I'm going to start walking out here to show you one that's actually full size. But it's called Pollard. And I could probably get around here